Yochanan chapter 6. After this Yahushua went away to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, that is, Lake Kinnereth, and a large crowd was following him, because they saw his signs which he did on those who were sick. And Yahushua went up on a mountain, and there he sat down with his taught ones. And the Pesach was near, the festival of the Yehudim. Then Yahushua, lifting up his eyes, and seeing a large crowd coming toward him, said to Philip, Where shall we buy bread for them to eat? And this he said, trying him, for he himself knew what he would do. Philip answering him, 200 denarii worth of bread is not sufficient for them, for every one of them to receive a little. One of his taught ones, Andri, the brother of Shimon Kepha, said to him, Here is a boy who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fishes, but what are these for so many? And Yahushua said, Make the people sit down. Now there was much grass in the place, and the men, numbering about 5,000, sat down. And Yahushua took the loaves, and having given thanks, he distributed them to the taught ones, and the taught ones to those sitting down, and the same with the fish, as much as they wished. And when they were filled, he said to his taught ones, Gather the broken pieces that are left over, so that none gets wasted. So they gathered them, and filled 12 baskets with broken pieces of the 5 barley loaves, which were left over by those who had eaten. Then the men, having seen the sign that Yahushua did, said, This is truly the prophet who is coming to the world. Then Yahushua, knowing that they were about to come and seize him, that they might make him sovereign, withdrew again to the mountain, alone by himself. And when evening came, his taught ones went down to the sea, and entering into the boat, they were going over the sea toward Capharnaum. And it had already become dark, and Yahushua had not yet come to them, and the sea was rising because a great wind was blowing. When they had rowed about 25 or 30 stadia, they saw Yahushua walking on the sea and coming near the boat, and they were afraid. And he said to them, It is I, do not be afraid. They wished therefore to take him into the boat, and at once the boat was at the land where they were going. On the next day, the crowd that was standing on the other side of the sea saw that there was no other boat there except that one into which his taught ones had entered, and that Yahushua had not entered the boat with his taught ones, but his taught ones went away alone. But other boats came from Kinnereth, near the place where they ate bread after the master had given thanks. Therefore when the crowd saw that Yahushua was not there, nor his taught ones, they themselves also entered into the boats and came to Capharnaum, seeking Yahushua. And having found him on the other side of the sea, they asked him, Rabbi, when did you come here? Yahushua answered them and said, Truly, truly, I say to you, you seek me, not because you saw signs, but because you ate of the loaves and were satisfied. Do not labor for the food that is perishing, but for the food that is remaining to everlasting life, which the Son of Adam shall give you. For the Father Elohim has set his seal on him. So they said to him, What should we do to work the works of Elohim? Yahushua answered and said to them, This is the work of Elohim, that you believe in him whom he sent. So they said to him, What sign then would you do, so that we see and believe you? What would you do? Our fathers ate the manna in the wilderness, as it has been written, He gave them bread out of the heaven to eat. Therefore Yahushua said to them, Truly, truly, I say to you, Moshe did not give you the bread out of the heaven, but my Father gives you the true bread out of the heaven. For the bread of Elohim is he who comes down out of the heaven and gives life to the world. So they said to him, Master, give us this bread always. And Yahushua said to them, I am the bread of life. He who comes to me shall not get hungry at all, and he who believes in me shall not get thirsty at all. But I said to you that you have seen me and still do not believe. All that the Father gives me shall come to me, and the one who comes to me I shall by no means cast out. Because I have come down out of the heaven, not to do my own desire, but the desire of him who sent me. This is the desire of the Father who sent me, that all he has given me I should not lose of it, but should raise it in the last day. And this is the desire of him who sent me, that everyone who sees the Son and believes in him should possess everlasting life, and I shall raise him up in the last day. Therefore the Yehudim were grumbling against him, because he said, I am the bread which came down out of the heaven. And they said, Is not this Yahushua the son of Joseph, whose father and mother we know? How is it then that he says, I have come down out of the heaven? Then Yahushua answered and said to them, Do not grumble with one another. No one is able to come to me unless the Father who sent me draws him, and I shall raise him up in the last day. It has been written in the prophets, and they shall all be taught by Yahweh. Everyone then who has heard from the Father and learned comes to me. Not that anyone has seen the Father except he who is from Elohim. He has seen the Father. Truly, truly, I say to you, He who believes in me possesses everlasting life. I am the bread of life. Your fathers ate the manna in the wilderness, and they died. This is the bread which comes down out of the heaven, so that anyone might eat of it and not die. I am the living bread which came down out of the heaven. If anyone eats of this bread, he shall live forever. And indeed, the bread that I shall give is my flesh, which I shall give for the life of the world. The Yehudim therefore were striving with one another, saying, How is this one able to give us his flesh to eat? Yahushua therefore said to them, Truly, truly, I say to you, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Adam and drink his blood, you possess no life in yourselves. He who eats my flesh and drinks my blood possesses everlasting life, and I shall raise him up in the last day. For my flesh is truly food, and my blood is truly drink. He who eats my flesh and drinks my blood stays in me, and I in him. As the living Father sent me, and I live because of the Father, so he who feeds on me shall live because of me. This is the bread which came down out of the heaven, not as your fathers ate the manna and died. He who eats this bread shall live forever. He said this in a congregation, teaching in Capharnaum. Therefore many of his taught ones, having heard, said, This word is hard, who is able to hear it? But Yahushua, knowing within himself that his taught ones were grumbling about this, said to them, Does this make you stumble? What if you see the Son of Adam going up where he was before? It is the Spirit that gives life, the flesh does not profit at all. The words that I speak to you are spirit and are life. But there are some of you who do not believe. For Yahushua knew from the beginning who they were who did not believe, and who would deliver him up. And he said, Because of this I have said to you, that no one is able to come to me unless it has been given to him by my Father. From then on, many of his taught ones withdrew, and were not walking with him any more. Yahushua therefore said to the 12, Do you also wish to go away? Then Shimon Kepha answered him, Master, to whom shall we go? You possess words of everlasting life, and we have believed, and we know that you are the Messiah, the Son of the living Elohim. Yahushua answered them, Have I not chosen you, the 12, and one of you is a devil? He was now speaking of Yehuda from Kirioth, the son of Shimon, for he, one of the 12, was about to deliver him up.